Alright, so does anyone remember in episode 1 of this series when I said that I'll get my revenge on the Pursuer? Well, I was going to put that in the last episode, but I kind of forgot. So here it is now at the start of this episode. This is me no-hitting the Pursuer in, I think it's a Lost Bastille. Might be Sinner's Rise, I'm not sure. I can't remember, I did this ages ago. So anyway, this is me getting my revenge after dying to him 6 times in the actual boss fight and then having to use a summon and the ballistas. Managed to no-hit him here. Don't think this clip is too much longer. So anyway, in the next bit of this episode, we have the 2 hardest bosses in the entire game. The next one is not one of the hardest bosses. It was a very easy boss, got it first attempt, and that's the Old Iron King. He was my next great soul boss that I did right after doing the Lost Sinner, and as I said, got him first try, very easy. I've heard that he has a very dangerous hole in his arena, but I didn't die to it, so that was good. This guy's like this big demon who lived in the fire, and I mean, he didn't really do much for how big and threatening he looks. Also earlier in the Iron Keep, I tried to do Smelter Demon, and after I died 3 times, I just gave up and went back to this. But then I decided to go and do him after Old Iron King, so I'll have that clip up next. Anyway, back to this. He just kind of slams his hands down, poke him a bit, and he sits there, does nothing, very slow attacks, very easy to dodge, and when they do hit, they don't do much damage anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He didn't have too many attacks, I don't think, at least. He just kind of had a couple slams, one where he breathes fire, and that's about it, really. Now he's doing another slam, a couple more pokes in. This wasn't a very long fight, because this is all he does. Yep. Another slam, he's gonna die here. Yep, very easy. Probably the easiest Great Soul boss, but he's in the hardest area. Also, you get to listen to this lovely noise now. Beautiful. Anyway, here's the Smelter Demon, and this boss, at the point when I did it, this took me the most attempts out of any Souls boss I've ever faced. The one that took me the most attempts before this was Gwendolyn, who took me 10 attempts, I think. Smelter Demon here took me 15 attempts. And it was just heartbreaking, really, because after like the 5th attempt maybe, I would get him down to like 3 hits away from death and then die. And it was always the same move as well. It was always a thrust move that I didn't figure out how to dodge, and I would always die at around 3 hits from death. I did that 10 times before finally killing him on this attempt. I think he was a pretty fun boss. The only real things that I don't like about him is his thrust attack, which is like ridiculously hard to dodge, and the fact that sometimes he doesn't AoE after the big jump and slam, and that also he has like the fire that damages you when you go in to hit him. Apart from that, I think his moveset was pretty fun to learn and master. And in this attempt here, I'd done him so many times that I ended up no-hitting him, which is crazy. It's the first boss I've ever no-hitted, and it was the boss that took me the most attempts out of any of them. So he's a decently hard boss, obviously, since he kept dying, but definitely not the hardest boss. I still think Gwyn was harder in Dark Souls 1. And haven't tried DLC yet, but I'm going to after I beat the other Souls games. Speaking of that, I'm about halfway through Dark Souls 3 right now. I'll put those videos out after I put out all of my Dark Souls 2 videos. Looks like the Smelter Demon's almost dead. Yep, there it goes. Now, next boss here is, I can't even remember the name, but it's like rip-off Quailag. Guess I'll see the name in a minute. Nope, boss health bar doesn't appear, great. But this one was just like Quailag, except Scorpion. Also got this one first attempt. This fight kinda sucked. It wasn't very interesting, it was pretty boring. And it was just a rip-off of another boss. Not even with the moveset either. It had a different moveset, it just looks the same. So it feels like a rip-off. And just like them being lazy. Even though it has a completely different moveset anyway. Which I just think is kind of a waste. Like, why would they do that? Reuse a concept, but then give it a completely different moveset, so it's actually original, but everyone thinks it isn't. That was just a dumb decision on their part. People who made Dark Souls 2 made a lot of dumb decisions. I'm still annoyed by the slow healing from the Estus. I don't really have too much to say about this boss, so I'm going to talk about the next one. Royal Rat Authority. It is the worst boss in the entire game. I hate this boss. Took me the most attempts out of any Souls boss because I did it after Smelter Demon. And on my 16th attempt, I killed it, and then I died 10 seconds after I killed it, and the victory achieved had already popped up, and it still didn't count. And that clip's coming up right now. Watch this. I'm just beyond annoyed with this one. So watch. He's dead. Now, watch. Victory achieved pops up. Then I die. Then you died pops up. And somehow, that didn't count. So then, the rats, the mini rats, killed me on every single attempt with their toxic before the big one even did anything for so many attempts. And the next time I even got the rats dead, I managed to kill the actual boss without dying. And I'm so annoyed by this, but I ended up taking 29 attempts to this. I died to this boss 28 times. This annoyed me so much. This is probably the worst boss in all of Souls. I hate it so much. This is even just like fresh anger from this happening recently. For me, this happened like 2 weeks ago, and I'm still annoyed about it. I actually hate this boss so much. It's just a really bad rip-off of Sif. Except it's a giant, disgusting rat. It has some of the weirdest attacks. Like this one, that one attack right there. You have no idea how long it's going to hold it for. It just holds it for like 10 seconds and then all of a sudden releases as fast as it can and kills you. This is honestly the worst designed boss I've ever seen. I actually cannot even state how angry I am at this. How much I hate it. But it did eventually die after 6 hours. No, I think it was closer to like 1.5, but still, it shouldn't take this long for such a stupid boss. And to rub salt in the wound, I found out like a day later that it was optional. I didn't even have to do it. Yeah, if you are playing through Dark Souls 2 for the first time, do not do this boss, it is so bad. Well, I've almost said the exact same thing over and over again for long enough that this boss fight, and the clip of me dying to it, and half of the previous boss fight has almost fully played out. Don't really have too much more to say. There really is no saving grace for this boss. It's so bad. Yeah, right, looks like it's dead now, for real this time, after 28 deaths. I still have not died this many times to a boss. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video.